Welcome. In today's video, we're installing the high clearance crossover steering from CavFab and their heavy duty adjustable track bar, so stay tuned. This steering will fit any Jeep XJ, TJ, ZJ, MJ, or LJ with the factory Dana 30 or Dana 44 front axle. It is made out of 1.5 inch solid rod, and it comes with heat treated chromoly heim joints and grade 8 hardware. And the track bar is also made out of 1.5 inch solid rod, and I will have links to both the track bar and the steering in the description below. So now that you have your tires removed off your vehicle, the first step is, if you have stock steering still, is measure from the castle nut on your driver's knuckle to your passenger knuckle, and get that measurement, and that will be the measurement of your new tie rod from the center of the heim to the center of the other heim. And once you have that done and you have your stock steering removed, with this CavFab steering, you're going to want to drill your knuckles and your pitman arm out to 5/8. So my knuckles and pitman arm are already drilled out from the Iron Rock off-road steering, so I'm good to go on that. But if you are running stock steering or a aftermarket steering where your knuckles and pitman arm isn't drilled out, CavFab does sell a 5/8 reamer bit that you could buy with the steering kit, just to make drilling out those three things a lot easier. For you guys that got your tie rod measurement, you're lucky, because when I removed my old steering, I forgot to get that. But there is a way to use a tape measure to get a rough alignment after you have your new steering installed, and I'll show you guys after we have it fully installed on the Jeep. So the way they want the setup is a washer, the knuckle, the heim joint, then another washer, then the bolt. And I just have it on there a couple threads because the next thing I'm going to do is install the top of the drag link to the pitman arm. And once I have that on there, finger tight, I will show you the setup that they want on the passenger side knuckle. So over here on the passenger side knuckle, what you're going to want to do is take the longest bolt and you're going to want to put a washer. Then it will go through the misalignment spacer on the top and the bottom of the heim. Then it will go another washer. You'll get it in there like that. Then from there, it will go the tie rod with a washer. And then from there, it'll be another washer and your nut. Get that on there a few spins. And then right before I get it fully tight, I'll put some red Loctite in there, and this side will be good to go. Once I get this good and tight, the German spec, I will move onto the pitman arm and get the top of the drag link put on. And with the drag link, the curved end is going to want to be at the bottom right here, just so you avoid your sway bar quick disconnect, and you don't have any interference while you're turning, and it doesn't destroy anything. Alright, and with how the top of the drag link connects to the pitman arm, you're going to want the bolt with a washer, a misalignment spacer with the heim, then you're going to want another misalignment spacer with a washer, then it will be the pitman arm with a washer, and then the nut. And then from here, I'm going to just get this tight or get it kind of snug, and then from there I will start doing all of my adjusting to make sure that my my drag link is good to go with how straight the steering wheel is, and then we will throw the tires on there to adjust the tie rod and finally tune the drag link. Now that we have the tie rod and drag link tight, other than the jam nuts for the heims, I'm going to put the tires back on, so then I could show you guys how to measure your toe in and toe out using a tape measure. So now that I have the tires on, the plan is to find a identical lug on each tire on the front of the tire and the back of the tire and measure from one lug to the other lug and get that measurement within about a 1/4 inch to 1/8 of an inch of each other. So if the distance on the front lugs is more than on the rear lugs, your toe is out on the tires. And if the rear lugs is a wider distance than the front lugs, then you have a toe in on the tires. And if you can't do that because your tread is too chewed up or you possibly have mismatched tires on the front, just measure from the inner sidewall of the very front and the very back of the tire and get your measurement that way. So if you have to measure from sidewall to sidewall, just go knuckle height with your tape measure and measure from the knuckle on the inside of the passenger tire to the knuckle on the inside of the driver's tire and see what that measurement is, and then do the same thing on the back side of the tire. It's about 52 inches. So I'll go to the back side, get that measurement, and if it's within a 1/4 inch to an 1/8 of an inch, even 1/2 an inch at the most, we are good to go on our toe in, toe out for our tie rod. And if that is the case, we'll get this bad boy adjusted up and do the jam nuts so it looks good to go. Measuring from sidewall to sidewall on the back of the tire, it comes in at 52 inches, just like it did on the front. So our tie rod is good to go. We don't have any toe in or any toe out, so we are good to go. So now that I have the jam nuts tight on the tie rod and the drag link, it is time to install the steering stabilizer mount that I also bought through CavFab, but I have a problem. I don't have any of the hardware that it takes to bolt the stabilizer to the 1/4 inch steering stabilizer mount. So I got to make a run to Ace Hardware to get all the bolts I need. It comes with the U-bolts to tighten it on there, or to clamp it to the drag link. So once I get this cleaned up and painted, it'll be U-bolted onto there, and then I'm gonna do a sleeve like this behind the U-bolt plate, like that, and then that'll make up the space between the back of the face of the U-bolt plate and the steering stabilizer. I'll need a longer one, but that'll make up the difference. Then I'm gonna run a grade 8 bolt through here, through the spacer, and through the head of the steering stabilizer. Then I'll have a couple washers to clamp it all tight, and we should be good to go completely with the steering. And then from there, it'll be time to install the new TrackBar. Now that I'm back, I'm gonna get this plate cleaned up, get it painted black, and then from there we'll get the steering stabilizer mounted, and then we'll move on to the TrackBar. For any of you guys that want to recreate this setup, this is what I bought. I bought a 4.5 inch, 1/2 inch bolt. I got a 1.5 inch, 1/2 inch sleeve. I got 2 washers and a nut, and it should fit perfect and give me a little bit of thread out of the end, so it gives me some wiggle room once I get it on the stabilizer. So after the paint dried in the ghetto paint booth, we'll bolt this on, or at least get all the bolts started. Then from there, I'll get the stabilizer pushed out some, and from there we'll get it all bolted together. So with this setup, that stabilizer is tight on there. That thing ain't going nowhere. There is, about 1/2 an inch of clearance from the bolt to the TrackBar. Depending on how thick the new TrackBar is, we might have some interference, so I might have to go with a shorter bolt, or I could just hit it with the grinder and cut off a majority of it. We'll see when we replace the TrackBar. But the steering, the drag link, and the tie rod are completely done steering wise, so now it is time to move on to replacing our TrackBar with the CavFab heavy duty adjustable one. So now that I've removed the old TrackBar, here is the new one from CavFab. This thing is solid steel. It's just machined out on the end for the heim joint. It does come with all the hardware needed. This is for the body end for the bracket that comes off the body. Comes with misalignment spacers and all the hardware. And then this is the hardware for the axle side. You do have to press in the bushing, but that shouldn't be too hard. I'm just going to take a little bit of grease, put it on there, push it in there, and hit it with the mallet to get it pressed in. From there, I'll get this side bolted onto the axle side of the Jeep. And then from there, after that, I'll have Natalie turn the steering wheel back and forth so it'll pull the Jeep from left to right to get this lined up. And then after that, I will show you guys how to measure your track bar so it looks even underneath the vehicle. Got the axle side of the track bar in there, got it as tight as humanly possible, and I put red Loctite on the nut on the back side so it doesn't wiggle free. I had to pull off the tie rod off the driver's side knuckle because there was a clearance issue between the bolt and the tie rod. So I'll get that tie rod back on there and as tight as I can, and then from there we will be adjusting the track bar to go into the bracket on the body. Alright, to show you guys what I do for adjusting the track bar, I try to find a common area on each side to measure from. So I'll measure from between the shock and the coil to the inner lug of the tire. This is about the same spot on the other side as the same style lug, not the cut in lug like that. So I'll do that measurement. It is 11 inches on this side. So it's 11 inches on the passenger side, and it is about 12 3/4 on the driver's side. So it is an 1 3/4 inches difference. So that means the body of the Jeep needs to start coming driver's side, which means I will thread in the threads of the heim joint into the track bar to help pull the body this side. So I'll get it threaded in, get it bolted up, and we'll go from there. And then you just finally adjust it. I mean, honestly, my threshold is about, 1/4 inch and under. You don't really notice, straight ahead if it's within 1/4 inch from side to side, unless, you're a robot or something. So that's my goal, is to get it within 1/4 inch each measurement of each other, and we should be good to go on the track bar. So as you can see, this is why I like to adjust the track bar with the steering already installed. I have Natalie in the cab of the Jeep right now, turning it from left to right, so you can see how easy it is to move the vehicle over the axle using the steering. So it'll make it a lot easier to adjust your track bar to exactly how you want if you do the steering first. While Natalie was in the cab, I had her hold the wheel, and I took measurements on each side just to get a general ballpark. And then I had her move the vehicle as close to the other side as possible to make the measurements even. And then once I got them as even as possible, I had her hold the wheel, and then that's when I adjusted the track bar, ran the bolt in there, had her let go of the wheel. And then now that we're at this point, you need to shake the vehicle around, jump on it, get it shaking around a whole bunch to have everything settle, and then do your measurements and adjust from there and just repeat as needed. All right, now that we had it all shaken around to get everything settled, I'm going to redo my measurements and then see if we have to adjust any further from there. All right, so we're measuring the driver's side, and it is right under a foot. I want to say 11 7/8. So let's check the passenger side and see what measurement that is. And on the passenger side, we are at 11 3/4. So we're we're about 1/8 of an inch off. So that right there is how you can measure for your track bar. And if your tires are jacked up or you have mismatched tires, you can always measure to the inside of the sidewall, like we did with the toe in or toe out with the tie rod. If you don't think just jumping on the bumper and shaking the whole Jeep is a good way to get it settled, take it for a spin around the block too. Take it for a few miles, bring it back home, do your measurements, and see if they're accurate. If they are, then you're good to go. If not, readjust the track bar and take it for another spin and then remeasure. Now that we're pretty much done and everything is tight, let's take the garbage can for a ride, see if anything happens, see how it rides, and see if we get any death wobbles or if we screwed anything up. So taking the Jeep on a test drive, I went about 65 to 70 on a few roads and everything felt just fine. No death wobble, the steering didn't feel loose, everything felt great. Even on turns, it felt tight. So I think we're done here. Everything is good. I will get it back to the house and just double check the spacing for the track bar. And if that's good to go, then we are done. All right, we just got back from the test drive. I remeasured the distance from the unibody rail to the tire, and we are between 1/4 of an inch and 1/8 of an inch off. So I'm pretty happy with that. I'm not going to complain. I think we are good to go with the Jeep, and we're done with this project. So I want to thank you guys for watching. If you've gotten this far, please like, subscribe, comment down below if I did anything wrong or if you have any other tips for people in the future. And I hope you guys have a good one. I'll talk to you later. Bye.